Welcome to a very special PitchBoxing episode with unified super welterweight world champion Tasha Jonas. How are you, Tasha?
Good, it sounds good, doesn't it?
Unified. That's incredible. We'll come on to that in a minute. But firstly, we're recording this on a Wednesday and your face looks remarkably unscathed given that you fought on Saturday night.
It's got remnants of I don't know if you can see that too well on the camera, but yeah, there is a black eye there, but that's kind of part and parcel of what you expect. I was sore on Sunday and Monday. I went for a cryo, went for a sauna, and I felt all right after that. So yeah, I wouldn't say back to square one, but I'm okay.
So if we take it back to Saturday night, where you're fighting Marie-Eve Decaire for what turned into your third world title, the IBF. From a fan's perspective, sat at home watching it, I was watching her warm up in her changing room and watching her come to the ring. And I thought, she looks crazy. Did you get that impression in the ring? That I know she kept coming forward all night and she just looked like she was on a mission somewhat.
Yeah, I think she probably thought she had nothing to lose, which is the same way I did. Like, we were both number one and number two in the divisions, putting it all on the line. So, you've got to respect that because we don't always see that in the men's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew she was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be hard, and I trained for that. So, she brought everything and the very best version of it, and I did the same, and it made for a good fight.
And she looked physically during the fight like a far bigger person, right? She was, and she kind of tried to impose that game plan coming forward and using her strength and size, it looked like, but you dealt with that superbly. Did you have to, I mean, that was presumably the game plan to get in, get your shots off, move off.
Yeah, I felt like, so like Joe said, you're going to have to like hit her hard to make her respect you. So, I was, throwing big shots for the first four, I think, for each round and kept moving. But then, like, she came back into it a little bit. I think it was 5 or 6. Because I was like, by that time, we'd started to like tussle and she'd started to impose them tactics where she was leaning on me, using her physical weight. And when it was my own fault for letting her get that close. But then when I adapted to that, like we got back to where we were the first in the first ring. But yeah, it was only in them tussles and stuff that I really felt it.
Yeah.
When I was boxing on the outside and just being smart, you couldn't. It wasn't so evident. But when we started physically wrestling, and you know, like yourself, like when someone's trying to say, use their strength and be like, I'm the strong one, then that makes you be like, no, you're not. And then so I kind of played into her hands a little bit by doing that. But yeah, it's all learning, isn't it? So yeah, it's something I definitely probably wouldn't do again against someone who's physically of that size.
And I can only assume Joe was telling you not to do it in the corner between rounds.
Oh, you know very well Joe was telling me not to do it. No, no, no.
Yeah, I won't repeat the language I'm sure he used to get you not to do it. If we rewind through the year, I was looking back this morning over your year. February beat Chris Namas for the WBO to become world champion for the first time. September, Patricia Bergholt for the WBC, and then November, Marie-Eve Decaire. But in January, was that the plan?
No, definitely not. Ben had always said he'd make me a world champion, but we didn't actually know how we were going to get there. We thought I'd have to put myself in a mandatory position for one of the other matchroom fighters. I knew I'd never do super feather again. So like I said to Ben, obviously, my last 2 fights being at lightweight. I said like I'm willing to go up if need be. So then Clarissa vacated to go and fight Sav at 160. I think Taylor was in the 2-fight deal with Serrano. Chantel had just gone in the tournament. McCaskill was fighting somebody, but I can't remember. So it left the 154 in a bank. Ben came to me like half hesitant and was like, right, this is the situation that we've got. He said, so like, if you're going to wait for some of them outcomes, you could be waiting for 2, 3, 4 fights. And maybe into next year. So, there is the 154 and we can get a vacant title on there. And And I think he thought I'd say no. And I was like, yeah, and we'll do it. And he was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, we'll do it. I didn't even ask who it was. I was just like, yeah, we'll do it. And he was like, well, you know, it's a lot heavier. I was like, don't worry about it. We'll do it. And obviously it was supposed to be, I think, Pia Kauska at first. And then I think she got COVID, or someone in her team got COVID. So then it got changed to Namas. And yeah, you know, I beat Namas. Then I thought it was going to be Hannah Rankin so I had, I think, 2 weeks off after Namas, and then we was in the kind of same situation where all them people were still fighting, and so we was trying to arrange a Hannah Rankin for in the summer, which would have meant, you know, June, July. I trained all the way through Easter and whatever, and like that fight fell through. And then Ben was like, but we can get Bergelt, because her fight fell through about 2 weeks later. So then we got that fight in the September. I had a couple, I think 2 weeks off in the summer. Then we had that fight in the September. So I was training all the way through the summer. The baby had to go on holiday with my cousin, with my uncle, and everything else. Got that fight. Had another week off, 10 days. And then Ben was like, Patricia Bergelt's team's been on, the Cares team's been on the phone. They want to do a unification, and you know, we'll try and get the ring belt on it, and we'll try and do this. It'll be for the IBF. I was like, okay, yeah, there's no one else to fight. I'll do it. So he was like, well, she's a bit more like, you know, natural that weight, and I was like, Ben, don't worry about it. Like, we'll do it. So he gave me the opportunity, and we took it. So like literally all this year, I've probably had about 3-4 weeks off. So yeah, it's been a tough, long year, but I never dreamed in January that that's the way it'd turn out. But what a year it's been.
Yeah. And it sounds like, from what you're saying there, your relationship with Ben Shalom is particularly good. Is that nice as a fighter to have that relationship with a promoter whereby you can have those open and honest conversations about what will work, what won't work, and presumably you can push back if needed?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure sometimes Ben puts me on the blacklist if I run that much. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice just to be valued and to have that relationship, and we I would like to say we are quite close, and you know, I do. He will just come to me and say, like, me, him, and Joe have got quite a good relationship between the three of us, and we'll just say, he'd be like, oh, sort Joe out, and I'll be like, Joe, go and speak to Ben, and we have that like banter between the three of us. So it is nice, and I do feel valued, and yeah, I think a happy fighter is a dangerous one.
I think you've become, as a result of that relationship with Boxer, since when you've joined them from Matchroom, and you're on Sky, you've become the face of Sky Boxing, not Sky Women's Boxing, but you're kind of front and center on the Sky Sports website when you go into boxing. You do the punditry for Sky when you're not fighting. And going back to that happy fighter is a dangerous one. How good is it to feel that value from the people that are, you know, broadcasting and kind of working with you?
Yeah, I think I've always said I've always wanted to feel like the home fighter, and sometimes I didn't feel like that. And yeah, I feel like I say that's the way I feel now, and it may be because I am the pundit on the punditry side that it all works in conjunction with each other. But yeah, it's nice. It feels good.
Are you going to do more of the punditry as well? Because you seem to be one of the few people that, say, boxing Twitter agrees upon as universally accepting being a decent pundit on fight nights. Is that something we're going to see more of, or are you now kind of back in the ring and focusing on 2023 with that side of it?
A little bit of both. Any big nights that I'm not going to be involved in, I'll probably will be on the punditry side with. So yeah, I mean, boxing Twitter, like the critics' choice is a thing in itself. We all know it's not always the nicest place, boxing Twitter, but I appreciate them.
And would that be something you'd look to move into kind of more permanently once your career comes to an end, the punditry side? Do you enjoy doing it?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're just talking about what you know, and trying to be as honest and respectful as you can. But yeah, I do have a contract with Sky at the minute, and it's definitely something I would look to pursue once I do the return out of, once I look to retire out of the ring. So yeah, it's good. I'm just sitting back chilling, enjoying the boxing and just saying what I see. So criticizing everybody else but myself. So it's decent.
Is it difficult to criticize people, because you'll know a lot of them from kind of the GB days or from the pro? Is it difficult to kind of be objective and critical of people that you know?
I always try and be respectful, and I think that's just it. And to be fair, you know, I said this to someone the other day when I'm doing the reaction stuff. You know, when you're standing with Anna and you're talking about a fight as a general thing as it happened, it's easier to do because you've watched the whole fight. You're coming up with like a summary basically. But when you're sitting there in the chair and doing the actual commentary, you've got to say what you see, be respectful to both fighters, be as honest as you can, and then give the insight that you know as a boxer to the boxing fans listening, as well as give some like technical like things. And it's hard to do to squeeze all that into like 3 minutes around. And then once you're there in that seat doing the commentary, from the minute you switch it on at 7 o'clock to the minute it finishes at like 10:30 to 11 o'clock, we don't move from that seat. So it's a long old night. You know, the judges will all swap rounds each fight and stuff, but we're sitting there just talking about the fight as they walk in, as it happens, as it fingies, as it finishes, as they go out. It's a long, hard night.
And going back to your years, 3 times, 3 different world titles in 12 months. Are you now having a break from it, or are you already planning for what you do in 2023? Or you get some time in with your little girl and forgetting about boxing for a bit?
Yeah, I've already booked we're going to go watch Paul in Japan.
Wow.
And we're going to go to Lapland just before we go to Japan. So yeah, it's quality time. Obviously I missed out on a lot of the summer holidays with her, and the half term training for the care fight. So yeah, just trying to catch up on some quality time with just me and her.
Yeah. And then, I mean, talking of 2023, there's been a lot of talk about doing Undisputed between you and Terry Harper. There's a lot of water under the bridge, not necessarily between you and Terry, but perhaps others that might be involved in that scenario, from Eddie to Steffi to Joe to Ben. You know, yourself and Terry are almost kind of aside from all of that. Do you think that fight happens next year?
I'm not too sure. I've read this morning, you know, a big 6-figure offer has come in from Matchroom. So I called Ben straight away, and he hasn't received nothing. Joe hasn't received nothing. And just the phrase in itself, a big 6-figure offer from Matchroom, I'm like, that's an oxymoron in itself. Like, we'll see what the big 6-figure offer is, because you know, part of the reason I left Matchroom in the first place was because I didn't feel I was paid me worth. I remember Steffi giving some comments about that at the time. So you know, I've been getting paid big 6-figures since I left Matchroom. So we'll see what the you know, how the gulf in big and what that means. We'll see what that is. But I don't write nothing off. I think I've shown that I'm not scared to fight people. I'm definitely not scared to fight Terry. I believe I've already beat her once. But you know, we'll see. There's lots of options open to me, and some of the comments that I've read about, it's Tasha's biggest fight. Says who? Like, I love the way sometimes like some people think that they know, you know, purses and fights and what their values worth, and they just haven't got a clue sometimes. And yeah, that's understandable. No one really talks about that. It's a bit of what you actually get paid in boxing is a taboo. Not even fighters know what each other gets paid. So I get it. But you know, to think that there's no bigger fight for me than Terry Harper is an absolute it's a joke in itself.
And does the Undisputed element make it not that there's going to be more value in that than what the money around it would be, because ultimately you're all fighters and you do it to get paid. And I think fans kind of forget that sometimes and think that being undisputed is more important than you might get paid an awful lot more to go and do some other fight. Does that undisputed carry some element of kind of thought process?
Yeah, 100%, but it's not the be all and end all. I mean, isn't it nice to be undisputed? Of course it is. But then if there's bigger and better opportunities that I believe for me, then I'm gonna go where I think's better for me. And a lot of people, that, well, not a lot of people, but some people making these comments are the same people that said when I'm at left Matchroom, oh, she's making a big mistake. She's, oh, that's a big mistake. She's left all the champions of Matchroom. Well, okay. I said, give me a year. I did actually say, give me a year and tell me that I'm wrong. And here we are a year later. Tell me that I was wrong.
And a lot of the names that you kind of mentioned throughout this whole piece, there's so many of them, the likes of McCaskill, Cameron, Taylor, Harper, even Clarissa Shields. There's seemingly more of a willingness, and whether that's because there's fewer kind of known names or because there's just more willingness to move up and down between weights. And, you, as you said, you've gone from super feather up to super welterweight. Is that something that you would again kind of look at of moving between weights, or is it now, have you settled into being a super welter?
No, but definitely. I've always been quite honest. I went to super welter because the opportunity was there. I'm not a super welter fighter, but that's where the opportunity was. Everyone else was taken up. So can I go down? Yes. Can I get down to super feather? Never. But can I do lightweight? Can I do welter? Can I do super welter? Of course I can. Can I do super lightweight? Yeah, of course I can. So everything from lightweight to super welter is on the table.
Which then goes back to, is Harper definitely the biggest fight for you? Potentially not, because you've got all these other options that are open.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again, I think as fans, we sometimes forget about that and get focused in on, what's available right now and the online talk of it.
Yeah, no, I think people appreciate that it was a good fight the first time round. And it's two British fighters, but there's so many contradictions with some people. It's like, oh well, she's the biggest fight here, and Eddie won't work with Joe, and I'm like, well, if he wants the Terry Harper fight, he's going to have to work with Joe because that's who my manager is. So I'm just like, it's just mad. It's just mad. But yeah, like I said, like before the Decare fight, I have so many options and so many doors open, but one loss and the doors all shut. So yeah. I had to go out and I had to concentrate on the care. I wasn't even thinking about what comes next because there could be nothing next if you lose. So now that I've won, I said I'm going to go away. I'm going to enjoy time with my little girl. I'm going to absolutely not think about anything to do with me and boxing. And then after Christmas, I'll come in the new year. I'll come back with Joe, sit down with Joe and Ben, and we'll discuss a plan for going forward. And we didn't really plan this year, and it worked out amazing. So we'll see what's on the table, and we'll take the best option for me. I will pick the best option for me.
Yeah, and you seem to be one of those boxers who enjoys occasionally just jumping in on like Twitter threads and just kind of giving a little bit of perspective and a little bit of insight to things. Do you enjoy doing that? Just putting fans in their place occasionally and giving them your view of things?
It's my toxic trait, I think. Sometimes I sit there and bite my lip and think, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. And I'm like, so yeah, it is my toxic trait sometimes. But I think sometimes people only see it from, like you said, from one point of view. And then when you give them a different perspective, it's like, yeah, I see where she's coming from. That's not the way I thought, because you're just seeing it or hearing it from one side. So, when you there's always like three sides to a story, their side, your side, and the actual truth. But when you see it from a different perspective, maybe then you understand why there is different options and why I might choose a different option.
Yeah, I think fans appreciate that input from boxers occasionally, just to sort of, I say, put them in their place almost and say, no, that's not necessarily.
I'm no Sonny Edward, but yeah, respectfully.
Yeah, I think Sonny's on a different level to everyone. And finally, you mentioned earlier about going out to Japan for Paul Butler. The whole Joe Gallagher gym is in like a renaissance period, isn't it? Whereby you've got so much success going on in there. It's evolved from where it was with the Smith brothers and Crolla, and they've kind of either gone their own separate ways or gone into retirement. But you've got that new generation that are kind of coming through. Do you feel a responsibility of kind of setting the culture as one of the more experienced world champions in there? Are you kind of one of the figureheads of it now?
I'm glad you said experienced and not old, but
I wouldn't use that word, Tasha.
No, it's definitely the dynamics of the gym have changed. Obviously, you know, the likes of Crawler, Quigg, Liam, Callum, they were all someone when I joined the gym I looked up to because they had been, and when I needed information or, you know, was going through scenarios, I was like, how did you overcome it, or what would you do? And they had the golfing experience to be able to, you know, get into their depth of knowledge around it, even tactics sometimes, and what works for me and what doesn't. The best thing to do is to sit in the gym and just watch, and you see, like, you might think, oh, that was a great combination, I'll try that, didn't work or whatever, but you're always watching and learning. Now, you know, myself, Paul, Mark Heffron, Charlie Edwards, we've kind of become the ones that the others watch, and the others will ask questions about, you know, because we have got some young fighters like Clark Smith, you know, we've got some of the academy in there, or like a little bit of inexperienced fighters. So now, like you say, we're the experienced ones that we've kind of shifted and gone to the beefy Crawler Callum status where, you know, the others in the gym will come.
Brill. Look, Tasha, I will leave you to it to go and enjoy your rest of your day. But huge congratulations for 2022. I think everybody looks forward to seeing what that next step is in 2023. But in the meantime, enjoy Japan, enjoy Lapland, enjoy some time off.
Oh, well, yeah, I will do, yeah.
Excellent. Hugely appreciate it, Tasha. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, and thanks for supporting me.